Alright guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today we'll be breaking down 3 reasons why the Cincinnati Bearcats can make the college football playoffs. The Bearcats were among one of the final teams vying for a playoff spot a season ago, winning games by an average of 21.9 points per game. They also had terrific balance and a thrashing defense leading the way, but they ultimately fell short of a college football playoff bid. The Bearcats earned a date with Georgia in the Peach Bowl and led for the entire second half until a last-second field goal handed them their lone loss on the year. The Bearcats are 31-6 over the past 3 seasons under Luke Fickell and have a great opportunity to clinch a playoff berth this fall. Here is why. So we'll be breaking down the entire schedule here in a second, but the first reason why is their non-conference schedule. This slate is a little reminiscent to that of Houston's in 2016, to a lesser degree, of course, but with the Bearcats, they can take care of business in the AAC instead of 13-0 with the wins over Indiana and Notre Dame on the road. They should probably be in the college football playoffs. Indiana returns an impressive defense. They also sport one of the nation's top receiving corps for Michael Penix to work with. The Bearcats play the Hoosiers September 18th and get a week off before traveling to South Bend on October 2nd. The Irish are reloading on both sides of the ball, but Notre Dame program is among the country's best. They've won 10-plus games in each of the past 4 seasons. This would be statement wins for the Bearcats. They have a chance to showcase they can not only play big boy football, but win it too. And we're going to break down the entire schedule here while we have it as a topic of discussion. Week 1 they play Miami of Ohio. This is a team that won the MAC back in 2019. So it's not really a slouch team. They didn't play. I think they played 3 games last year. I have them at 5 wins. But if this team can potentially win the MAC once more, it's going to help the metrics. Metric-wise, it's really going to help them for the Bearcats. So it's not the greatest contest, but it's something solid you can probably hang your hat on. The next week, Murray State, nothing there. As we mentioned, Indiana and Notre Dame crowd the next 2 games. Temple, this is going to be an interesting matchup. They host Temple. History indicates Temple won't be easy for Cincy. In 2019, the Bearcats ended a 4-game losing streak by a score of 15-13 rather. Temple, I don't expect them to be contenders in the conference, but it's something to look for. Historically, this has been a tough matchup for them. The next week, UCF. Hosting UCF, this is going to be a great game. They held UCF, since he held UCF and Memphis, 2 similar style offenses to less than 400 yards each last year. The Knights had 359 total yards of offense, 243 passing yards, was the second fewest by Dylan Gabriel all year, as was his 53% completion rate. For comparison, he had 297 yards, 3 picks, a 54% comp rate in 2019. Crazy enough, despite how bad the UCF offense was against Cincy in those games, they lost both by 3 games each. So even if they're anchoring it down defensively, it's still going to be a tough outing against the Knights. The next 2 weeks, we got at Navy, at Tulane. Navy with that complex rushing offense is never easy. Tulane has one of their own. They could be tricky. It's a dicey rushing attack. Michael Pratt was really good last year, and Stephen Hutterson. I think they averaged over 200 yards a game on the ground last year, so not going to be an easy task to beat Tulane. This could be a potential trap game on a Saturday night, Halloween weekend. Next week, they host Tulsa. They played them tough last year in the AAC title game. This is a new-look Golden Hurricanes team. They ranked 109th nationally in returning production. A lot of stuff that Scotty Montgomery's going to have to figure out. So I don't expect this to really be a tough contest, but you never know. They got a good head coach. They got some promising players, so could turn out to be something there. The next week, at South Florida on a Friday night. I don't expect Florida to be good whatsoever. They're still building under Jeff Scott, so I don't see much of a contest there. The next week at SMU. SMU could be tricky. Tanner Mordecai, Grant Calcaterra, Reggie Robertson. That's going to be a very tough offense. So SMU, they could really challenge them late in the season. Maybe they get caught sleeping at East Carolina the end of the year on a Friday night. This was really impressive what they did to ECU last year. A very explosive offense with a pretty good passing attack. Quarterback Holton Laris, he struggled big time though. 9 for 20, 87 yards, 3 picks. Held ECU to only 87 passing yards for an entire 4 quarters. That is just monumental stuff. That is highly impressive. Blake Prohl, C.J. Johnson, these guys have playmakers, and they couldn't get the ball to them last year. So they absolutely dominated an ECU passing attack that is really good. Highly impressive stuff from the Bearcats. But that concludes the first reason why Cincinnati can make the playoffs. Reason number 2 why the Cincinnati Bearcats can make the playoffs is Desmond Ridder at quarterback. He's one of the best dual threats in the nation. He's also a veteran that knows how to win football games. Ridder has an impressive arm on top of his athleticism, where his size and vision are a plus that allows him to thrive in a QB powers or zone reads. Ritter's really grown as a passer over his career, as he went from 166.5 yards per game on a 55% comp rate in 2019 to nearly 230 per game and a 66% comp rate. Ritter's overall accuracy, it took a big step, but his aforementioned arm possesses good zip. I like the velocity; he fits it in the tight windows. Ridder will be playing in front of a lot of NFL scouts this fall and should continue to improve. He already possesses the talent that can help the Cats beat anyone in FBS. Ridder, he's gonna have the spotlight on him. We'll see if he can. We'll see what he can do. They get 82% of offensive production back, so everyone around him, a lot of talent. He's gonna have a lot to work with. Jared Oaks is gone, but Jerome Ford, an immense talent from Alabama, 483 yards, 8 scores on only 73 touches last year. That's 6.6 yards per carry. But, deciding who's going to take Ford's role as the number 2 back, Ryan Montgomery, he's going to battle with Charles McClellan. Both came from the class of 2018. Pretty impressive talents there. I'm not really too worried about the backfield in Cincinnati. I think they have a nice rotation there. Jerome Ford, I really like him. Great player. So running back there straight. The receiving core, though, they get back a lot of experience. Tight end Josh Wiley, he figures to have a big season. He was a good pass catcher last season for the Bearcats. Led the team in yards and touchdowns with 353 yards and 6 scores. He was also second in grabs with 28. Michael Young had 29. That was the team lead, while Jashawn Jackson had 27 for 337. It's important because these guys all had quite similar production. So Ridder does a great job of spreading the ball around as a distributor on top of as being a playmaker. A guy I'm excited to see return, Alec Pierce. He led them in yards and grabs in 2019. He only played 6 games, but he was in 2020. But he was on track to do the same last season. He played in those only 6 games, as we just noted. But he caught 17 balls for 315 yards and 3 scores, which is not too far off the guys who played the entire season. So Alec Pierce, a tall pass catcher, they're very excited to have back. That's going to conclude reason number 2, quarterback Desmond Ridder, and of course his aforementioned supporting cast. Number 3, these superstars. Hold on. We move to reason number 3, the final reason why the Bearcats can make the playoffs. It's simple, superstars on defense. Of course, the Bearcats overall have a phenomenal defense. It's kind of comparable to Georgia's in the sense that nobody has elite individual production. It's more so a collective effort, but they also have a couple of superstars. Defensive end Myjah Sanders, he's an energizer bunny off the edge. He's a terrific disruptor. He utilizes every bit of that 6'5", 258-pound frame. He registered 10.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. He also had 5 pass breakups a season ago. He does everything off the edge in, great length. His length is comparable to Kevon Thibodeau's, I believe. He does a lot for them, as a pass rusher. And, getting his hands up, defending passes, it's hard to throw over guys like that. So that's the first superstar they have. In the back end is a ball-hawking secondary. It's led by arguably the nation's top press man corner, Ahmad Gardner. He's made more plays on the ball than first downs allowed in his time in Cincy. He's recorded 6 interceptions and 14 pass breakups, and he's allowed less first downs than that. So this guy is a complete stud in the back end for Cincinnati. Some of the fillers in this defense, though, because they have their superstars. But let's inform you about the rest of this unit. So Mike Tressel, he takes over for Marcus Freeman and goes to Notre Dame. He's been at Michigan State since 2007, so he's clearly thrilled with the opportunity. He was at Cincinnati previously before that, from 2004 to 2006. Defensive tackle Curtis Brooks, he's an enforcer in the middle. They also added Jawan Briggs from Virginia. He's a Cincinnati native. He wasn't exactly great for the Cavaliers, but he was the 75th ranked recruit in the class of 2019, so a big-time talent for Luke Fickell to work with. At linebacker, unfortunately, Jarrell White is gone, but I like Tyler Van Fossen, 28 stops, 5 tackles for loss in a backup role. I think he's going to thrive as a starter. I think he's really got some skills that can mold him into a great middle linebacker for this defense. He has the privilege of playing alongside veteran Darian Beavers. He was second on the team with 58 tackles. He also had 2 picks, 2.5 sacks, 7.5 tackles for loss. He's a playmaker, a bit of a stat sheet stuffer. I like Beavers, another one of those veterans that's really going to lead this defense this fall. As we noted, it's a ball-hawking secondary. It's not just Ahmad Gardner, though. They have had 16 interceptions in each of the last 2 years. since 2016, Cincinnati's forced 67 turnovers. They really get after it defensively. They excel at, making the offense make mistakes. They get back Derek Forrest, James Wiggins are gone, but Kobe Bryant, Javon Hicks are back. Bryant had 7 pass breakups, 4 picks a season ago. Hicks, he's a playmaker in his own right. And as we noted, Ahmad Gardner holding it down in the back end. A lot to like about this football team overall. I think this team, I don't know if they will go undefeated. You'll just have to watch them play from week to week. They have a great chance, though, to knock off Indiana and Notre Dame. But I think playoffs is a little bit of a reach. They still won't have the strength of schedule as some of the favorites will. But it's certainly not a cakewalk for Cincinnati. They have some games that are really going to be interesting to watch. Temple, UCF, Navy, SMU. They have some really good games I'm interested in watching this season. So those are the 3 reasons, though, they can make the playoffs. Will they? It remains to be seen, but they certainly will have an opportunity with this non-conference schedule. Can't wait to see how the season turns out for the Bearcats. So that's going to wrap everything up. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment on if you think the Bearcats will make the playoffs or not. Check out our recent videos, predictions up for multiple different teams and multiple different conferences, and see you guys next time.